In the previous installments of this retrospective, we saw the ending of Solid Snake's story, and we discovered that Big Boss was still alive after all those years. The series had gone full circle and ended where it started, with Zero. But there were still a few gaps left in the circle. There was still a lot of time left between the events of Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, which took place in 1970, and the events of the original Metal Gear and the Outer Heaven Uprising in 1995. In those missing years, there were several important events, including the success of the Les Enfants Terribles project in 1972, the name of the project that gave birth to Solid and Liquid Snake. Another important event took place in 1974. Snake had a large group of mercenaries that had followed him after the incident at the San Geronimo Peninsula in Portable Ops. Together, they formed a mercenary group called Militaires Sans Frontières, or Soldiers Without Borders. Snake has teamed up with a man named Kazuhiro Miller, or Kaz. His name means peace, and he would later be impersonated by Liquid Snake during the events of Metal Gear Solid. The two of them were good friends, and would risk their lives for each other. At their base, they are approached by a duo of people, Professor Galvez from Russia, who has a red prosthetic hand with a lighter inside the thumb, and his student Paz Ortega, a 16-year-old student from Costa Rica. Her name, Paz, also meant peace, and that is what she wanted. Costa Rica did not have a standing military, and parts of the country had been taken over by renegade CIA operatives and their leader, Hot Coldman, the CIA station chief of South America. He was there heading the Peace Walker project, and Paz wanted them out of her peaceful country. Snake quickly accepted the mission after he heard a recording that Paz's friend had made before she was captured. On the tape, Snake heard a familiar voice. It was the voice of the boss, but it couldn't have been her. Snake had killed her 10 years earlier. He needed to know what was going on. He was told that he would have to make contact with the leader of the Sandinista National Liberation Front in Costa Rica, but when he finally makes contact with them, he discovers that his contact is dead, but his children are still alive. His daughter Amanda has inherited the control of the Sandinistas, and she kept her 12-year-old brother Chico close to her. After many events, the two of them and their Sandinistas join Snake's side. Amanda gets a broken leg, and the medics over at Mother Base patch her up, which brings me to two interesting points. Galvez sets the Militaires Sans Frontières up with an offshore rig as a base of operations, and this place is called Mother Base. And very similar to Portable Ops, Snake can recruit soldiers by capturing them and placing them on parts of the base where they would be most useful to develop new weapons and items. But this time around, things were made a bit easier by the Fault and Recovery system, which would allow Snake to hook a balloon to soldiers whom would be collected via helicopter, instead of having to drag them all the way back to a truck. And with a little work, your research and development crew can build a Fault and Recovery launcher, which is basically a rocket launcher that shoots Fault and Recovery balloons, which can allow you to fault multiple enemy soldiers at once, and soldiers that you could not reach previously. Snake also begins development on Metal Gear Zeke, a new model of Metal Gear that was under the control of Mother Base. It can be modified with parts and AI circuit boards that are gathered from the various bosses, and its color can also be changed to customize it in any way you want. Mother Base was a force to be reckoned with, but Hot Coldman and his soldiers were quite a threat to them. He was being assisted with the help of Huey Emmerich. Huey was paralyzed from the waist down and rode around in a specialized wheelchair that could ascend and descend stairs. And if the name Emmerich sounds familiar, it is because Huey is Otacon's father. Every generation of Emmerich since Huey's father has added another page to the dark history of the Emmerich family. Huey was being forced to cooperate. He didn't want to build Peace Walker to launch a nuke, but Hot Coldman was designing Peace Walker and the Mammalpod artificial intelligence inside it to launch a nuke and to prove a machine is more efficient for nuclear deterrence, because a machine doesn't make mistakes. And in order to prove his method as tried and true, he had to launch a nuke to show that Peace Walker had the ability. When this is all revealed, the first boss of the game is also revealed. As Peace Walker is being flown away, a large tank that is very similar to the look of the Shagohod from Metal Gear Solid 3 drops down into the room. This is the Pupa, an armored battle tank, capable of great speeds. You do more damage if you launch a rocket into the AI pod than you do if you launch them into the armor of the vehicle, but you get fewer AI circuit boards when you finally climb into the AI pod after defeating it. Inside the AI pod, you yank out circuit boards to disable the AI. And after the timer runs out, Snake climbs out of the pod, and the pod rockets off into the sky, returning to another scientist working for Hot Coldman, and delivering battle information to her to use in development of the Mammalpod AI of Peace Walker. All the bosses in Peace Walker are mechs, either armored vehicles, tanks, and helicopters, or early model Metal Gear-like mechs, such as the previously mentioned Pupa. The next main mech after the Pupa is the Chrysalis, which is a flying mech that releases smaller unmanned drones to support it. This one is quick, and is pretty much impossible to defeat unless you have a rocket launcher with target lock-on capabilities, because otherwise, when you shoot it, it will sense the incoming attack and will take evasive measures to quickly move out of the way of the attack. And after defeating the Chrysalis, Snake comes in contact with the other scientist working on developing the Mammalpod of Peace Walker, Dr. Strangelove. She was a friend of the boss many years ago, and she was developing the AI in Peace Walker around the personality of the boss, which explains why the boss's voice was heard on the recording that Paz brought to Snake. Snake also meets another ally around this time, a French ornithologist by the name of Cecile. It was actually her that recorded the tape with the boss's voice on it. She recorded the tape brought to Snake by Paz. However, Cecile was not the friend that Paz had claimed recorded the tape. Paz and Cecile had never met previously. Paz claims that she must have mistaken Cecile's tape for her friend's, and later the confusion is mostly forgotten. Cecile then joins Militaires Sans Frontières as a scout. The next major boss is the Cocoon, which is a giant tank, several stories tall and heavily armored, and also heavily armed with dozens upon dozens of guns. Guns big and small, rocket launchers, and even a large chainsaw blade used to help cut a path for it and get rid of any unwelcome guests that may have made their way onto it. After defeating the Pupa, the Chrysalis, and the Cocoon, all that is left is for Snake to fight the Butterfly. The Peace Walker battle. The first time you fight Peace Walker, it is on 2 legs and it is equipped with a flamethrower, guns, and rockets. Peace Walker has the battle data that has been gathered from each of the previous incarnations of the Butterfly, adding to the intelligence of its advanced AI, making this the most intelligent of the bosses, and also the most powerful. After defeating it, it converts from being bipedal to quadrupedal. With its 4 legs, it then runs away and crosses the border of Costa Rica into Nicaragua, where it is going to launch the nuke to prove Hot Coldman's idea of nuclear deterrence. Its target? The center of the Caribbean Sea. The fallout would kill the fish in the sea for hundreds of miles, leaving fishermen without jobs and their families without food, which would in turn create new jobs. Hot Coldman would hire the fishermen into his army to help him mass-produce Peace Walkers. And the target was not just the sea itself, but it was a small rig out in the sea. A small rig where a group of mercenaries had called home. The target was Mother Base, the Militaires Sans Frontières headquarters. And Snake had to stop it to save his friends, and to save the world from all-out nuclear war. This is also when you discover that Professor Galvez, who had given Snake the mission in the first place, was actually an agent working for the KGB and working to take over the Peace Walker project from Hot Coldman. Professor Galvez was actually a man named Vladimir Zadornov, and keeping with the theme of peace, Vladimir means ruler of peace. He shoots Hot Coldman, but doesn't kill him, and takes control of Peace Walker. Zadornov was manipulating everything and everyone from behind the scenes the entire time, and now he had control of Peace Walker. This is when the Sandinistas crash the party, with Chico and Commandante Amanda. Together they fight off the soldiers and take both Hot Coldman and Zadornov prisoner. The Sandinistas celebrate the success of the mission, and the success of their new leader, who they call Vic Boss, or Victory Boss. He was not just a legendary soldier, but he was a legendary leader as well. Snake has succeeded in his mission, and everyone begins heading home. But as they're leaving, Hot Coldman manages to input the data to Peace Walker, and now Peace Walker was once again active. And not only that, it is broadcasting itself to the world as a Soviet attack. The world knew of the attack, but not where it was coming from, and all of them had their fingers on the button. The Cold War was about to get very hot. As Hot Coldman, the only one with the deactivation code, dies, the world is about to be thrown into chaos. The powers that be in Washington are on full alert. Calls are being made to the president and other such VIPs. Everyone is on edge with the fear of all-out nuclear war. Snake must put down the quadrupedal Metal Gear, Peace Walker, and stop it from launching a nuke, and stop it from transmitting the false data to the world. At NORAD, the higher-ups can't get a hold of the president, and some of them are itching to retaliate with their own nukes against the false threat. Snake somehow disables the Metal Gear, but it is still transmitting to the world. So Snake does the only thing he can do. He gets Huey to patch him into NORAD. They take the call after hearing it was Big Boss. Big Boss explains the situation and identifies himself by talking about the day he got the title of Big Boss, how he refused to shake the hand of his commanding officers, and why he did it. He knew where his loyalties lied. He was recognized by one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at NORAD because he was there that day. However, it was too late. Another man attempted to overthrow his authority. The other man believed he had to retaliate, and that the call was just a communist trick. Snake attempted to disable Peace Walker further by removing the AI circuit boards from the mammal pod. But there was a problem. Another portion of the AI's brain had taken over and compensated for the missing pieces, just as a real brain would attempt to do if part of it was injured. Peace Walker was still active, and was still capable of sending the false message out. After a long battle, with Snake doing everything in his power to destroy a machine that was built to withstand a nuclear war, something amazing happens. The AI has become damaged enough for the parts of the AI's brain to compensate for each other in such a way that the AI, designed to have the mind of the boss, actually started to have the mind of the boss. It gained a kind of sentience, a life that didn't want to kill innocent people. So Peace Walker then walks itself out into the lake to drown out the signal that was being broadcast out. The signal to NORAD stops, and everyone realizes it was a false alarm. There was no nuclear attack from Russia. The game ends, and the credits roll. However, this is not actually the ending. After the credits, you hear a bit of a speech from Snake. He talks about how the boss betrayed him. When she put down her gun, she betrayed him. And from then on, he would be called Big Boss. He had finally accepted the name of Big Boss, and his life was going to be different from then on. It is also revealed that Zadornov has escaped custody. The true ending to the game is a bit of a secret. You see, the game also has extra ops, or little side operations to get more people or more equipment for your journey. And Zadornov is actually hiding in the very first side mission, where he is upstairs at the shooting range. After finding him, he is returned to his cell. But then the damn guy escapes 6 or 7 more times. Each time he escapes, Snake has to go find him in a different area, and in each area it gets progressively more difficult to find him. It's pretty annoying sometimes. Eventually it is discovered that he wasn't escaping on his own. It was actually Paz that was helping him, and making it easier for her to achieve her true goal. No one knew it. Not even Zadornov knew who Paz truly was. She was not a 16-year-old Costa Rican student. In reality, she was a 20-something-year-old spy named Pacifica Ocean. She had gone through extensive training to prepare herself for this moment. She was an assassin that was under the orders of Cypher to kill Snake and put an end to MSF. She takes control of Metal Gear Zeke, the Metal Gear on Mother Base, and Snake has to fight his own Metal Gear. After defeating Metal Gear Zeke, Paz is thrown into the ocean, where she disappears. It is revealed to Snake who Paz was working for, a man named Cypher, which is another name for Zero. This is the moment when Snake first realized that his former commander and former friend was now trying to kill him, and this was the moment that would set into motion a dangerous chain of events that would eventually lead to the Outer Heaven Uprising. MSF and Mother Base had now been revealed to the world, and they knew that some power-hungry people wouldn't like the fact that a large group of mercenaries were now an important piece of the chessboard. They knew that eventually someone would come knocking, and they knew eventually they may have to defend themselves. When I first heard about this game and how all the bosses were going to be mechs, I thought it was going to be a terrible game. I thought I was going to miss the creative bosses. However, the mech battles were actually very diverse, fun, and interesting, and with the game's great story and great gameplay, it became one of my favorites in the series. It was originally on the PSP, but it was later brought out on the PlayStation Store and on a collection for the PlayStation 3. Join me next time to see a different kind of Metal Gear, when Metal Gear goes back to the future too.